we're all being recorded. We're all going to be famous. And welcome everybody to our last meeting of the season. It's been quite a ride. We've seen a lot. I know, speaking for myself, I have learned a lot, not just about sustainable CT, but also about some computer things and about what is going on in the town of Old Lyme. I had no idea there were so many things happening. So it's been really, really fascinating. And I don't know if others, if people agree or disagree with that, but fascinating.
Wholeheartedly.
Yes. So now moving along officially, do we want to approve the minutes from our last meeting? That was on August 14th. And do I trust everyone's had a minute to review those minutes? Do we have a motion from the floor to approve them as presented?
Move.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor, say aye or raise your hand. Aye. I'm raising my hand. Anyone opposed? Nay, or raise your hand. Anyone abstaining? Abstain or raise your hand. Okay, the ayes have it. And thank you very much, Madam Secretary. This is the toughest job, is keeping track of all these logistics. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks, Maureen.
You made it look easy, but it was tough. Now moving along to the review of the action items being submitted for Sustainable Connecticut for points, especially action item 2 and action item, oh no, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong agenda. Moving along to review of the action item, well, actually it is sort of the same thing, the action items. Cheryl. You were the person who pulled all these action items together, especially helping me out when I just kind of said I can't do one more thing, and you just grabbed the steering wheel and took our car where it needed to go. So do you want to give us an overview?
Sure. So I just want to say on action item 2, there was so much great information that Holly had in action 2.10.2, which was the municipal effort to remove invasives. And then Maureen had the great information in 2.10.3, which was residential education about invasives. So all I did was take both of yours, and in some cases you both were saying the same great thing. So I just made sure the information was in the right bucket. So and
you also found more information about Phragmites.
Yes, I did. So here's just how that happened. On the town website, I did a global search, a word search. There's a little search bar in the upper right corner of the town's website, and I put in invasives, and up popped some minutes from the Open Space Commission getting rid of Phragmites. So I contacted them and was able to add that as well as another example of the municipality removing invasives.
Wow.
Perfect. Hey.
I can barely hear Maureen.
Okay, is that any better?
Oh, yes.
Good.
What were you saying, Maureen?
I said yay.
Oh.
Celebrating.
And I shut off my video to spare bandwidth, but thank you for figuring out that Phragmites was an additional thing to add in. So that's wonderful. And then with action 9, you figured all of that out, that was a real learning curve.
And thank you to Katie for forwarding that. I don't know if you forwarded it to Jess or whoever, but it sounds like we're in good shape with those.
Yeah, I forwarded it to Jess and she gave her stamp of approval. So I expect those will both be all good for the application.
Okay. Great.
That's wonderful. And now, Cheryl, I think you said that we've submitted actually for about 340 points. Is that correct? Quite a few points.
Yes. So just find the right screen. 1 second. Katie, do you have, okay, so we can do shared screen. Oh, can you enable shared screen, Katie?
I just made you the host, so you should be able to share your screen.
Okay. Let's find the right thing. Hang on one second, folks. I'm just looking. Okay. Am I sharing my screen? Do you see
Yes.
the sustainable?
Yeah, it's all visible.
Okay. So, and luckily I don't have any crazy tabs open that I don't want you to see. Can you see my cursor moving?
Yes.
Okay. So where I'm circling over on the right-hand side, that tells us action totals. So we've got all 9 categories covered. You can see to get bronze, you need 200 points. To get silver, you need 400 points. Down below here, we've covered all 9 action areas, meaning like action 1, action 2, action 3, all the way down. 10, of course, is it's an added bonus. And then here, where I have my cursor moving, it tells you that we are going for 340 points. That includes the points you already have, that 165 points you already have. So we're going for a total of 340 points out of a possible 1,935 points. I can't imagine any doing that. And we've completed 21 actions out of 57. So
Wow.
I would have to say, if we got 340 ladies, or even close to that. Oh, and I did say in our email, for number 10, I put in for 40. I just kind of shot for the moon. I mean, if we got 10, it would be nice. If we got 20, it would be nice. So maybe if everything got approved, maybe we'd get 310 points or 320 points. But point being, it makes silver status very reachable. I mean,
next year. Yeah.
Yes. Which would be a real coup, because I think there were only 14 municipalities in Connecticut that have that status. I'm just going to change the screen for a minute to see if I can find that.
Meanwhile,
See, that's 14 silver certified.
Mm-hmm.
Katie, can you give us an idea of the relative advantages of having silver over bronze? What that would mean for us?
Yeah, of course. I apologize. I have people cutting my lawn right now. If you guys can hear that noise, I'll try to speak a little bit louder. But pretty much, like, it all depends. Like, the certification part of it, usually towns use it as like a great marketing tool to try and get people to want to live in their towns, stay in their towns, and in particular for young people, because obviously that's a real issue in Connecticut, like an aging population, so they're trying to get more and more young people to stay here. So silver offers like a little bit more of like a marketing advantage. And the way that silver works is you need to get 400 points and you need to do 3 equity toolkits and have them approved. So usually that means people will opt to get at least 600 points and do maybe 4 to 5 equity toolkits, because not everything is always approved.
Okay.
Okay. And it does lend itself to mention in, grants applications and things like that, so it's sort of the more you do, the more you get the resources to do even more. So see, and I have all kinds of ideas for things we can do in the future. So, but I'll leave that for the next step. So, but yeah, all those points, it's just beautiful to see those numbers.
I know. So, sustainable dames, as more people call them. I would like to make a motion that we submit this application right now.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye!
Aye.
Are you ready? Can you see my cursor? See where my cursor is?
Yeah, we see it.
Okay, I'm gonna push on the right-hand side. I
Wow,
submit
yay
that.
for us. Woo.
All right,
Yay.
confirm certification request.
Your application has been submitted. While the application is under review, the completed and approved
All
action
right.
is unable to edit. I'm just gonna take a screenshot of that for us.
Okay,
Yay!
you're hot shots. Okay. Thank you, everybody. So, boy, oh boy, what a summer. This is a summer of sustainability. So, okay, so that's like we hit the ball over the net, and we'll just wait to see what the sustainables have to say. But you know, after this meeting, we won't. I don't think we'll be meeting for a while. We'll take our sort of fall and winter vacation, and probably start thinking about ginning up again. In the winter. But in the meantime, the things that I'm sort of keeping on the screen, which we might be sort of emailing ourselves about. First of all, at the Conservation Committee meeting that I was at with Maureen last week, they mentioned, or a week and a half ago, they mentioned the possibility of trying to put in ADA trails, especially maybe going to the Barbizon Oak along, I guess, Champlain South. And that would be quite near where we did the walk audit. So we could have some synergy there if we can get the sidewalks in Lyme Street looking a little nicer and put out some maps. We can let people know, hey, just go up Library Lane and you're on this beautiful trail, which leads to a historic, incredible tree that just takes your breath away.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that should stay on our radar,
Can I also make a point about that before you leave it? That's
yes.
the kind of thing we want to plan up front that we do with the equitable toolkit, number 9.
Yeah.
Number 9. So instead of trying to retrofit it later on, start with that process. So it would be conservation to start by asking the community what they want, like all those steps. And then we record it as it goes along, and then we're not trying to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah. And now with that, maybe we could do a walk from the Champlain trailhead to the tree, even as it is now. I was very nervous about walks on some of the roads because I thought if something went wrong, it might be something dangerous. That's why we did the walks on a very safe street. But I think walking on a trail that's pretty good but not perfect, it would be, a safe, challenging but safe thing to do.
That's wonderful.
So.
Cheryl, a great idea, especially you're right about not retrofitting the equity toolkit because it's just so much more problematic that way. And one resource you guys can use for that is Equity Coaches. That's a free resource that Sustainable CT offers. They can be really helpful, especially in the beginning, like walking through and help you guys thinking about all the people you need to outreach to, all the people you need to talk to, and like all of the questions to consider to really make it an equitable process.
Great.
That's a great idea. So the next, Maureen, you and I maybe we'll just make sure when we're reaching out to the Conservation Commission that we just keep this equity toolkit, front and center, that as we look into this ADA trail, that we'll try to do it, work together and do it using the equitable toolkit.
I think we'll get good support from conservation because that's where the 2 suggestions came from.
The 2 suggestions?
When it came up was at our last conservation meeting.
Yeah.
So we are interested in that.
Yeah, and they will roll up their sleeves and do things. So that's one of our things for going forward. And then the other thing was just in terms of, who we're working with. I sent everyone that list of people who gave us their contact information. And I've sent emails up to everyone up to bwsardo@gmail. And since then, the only one who I contacted was M. Plumley to say thank you for filling out the audit. I'm sorry, did I pronounce your name properly, Maureen? I hope
What's
I
the
pronounced.
question?
I reached the only person after BWS Sardo who I reached out to is you to say thank you for taking the survey. But a couple of people, some people know some of the names on that list who haven't been contacted.
Well, I don't, you know, why don't we, if we're going to focus on that ADA approach to, there were 2 suggestions for ADA qualified. Why don't we ask the conservation member who suggested them to give us a little tour and to lead us on that, and then the folks that showed that they were interested will invite them also.
Oh, good idea.
So
that's a great idea.
Well, the timing is really good. September, October, a great time to hike into a place like that, and right away get them active, get them interested.
That's a great idea.
So we'll show them that we're serious about using their ability, their brains, and adding them to the group, because that's only one piece of it. So
yeah.
we could include a few more people so that we can not burn our keyboards anymore, burn up our keyboards. So yeah, why don't we suggest that? Let's see, conservation is coming up in a couple of weeks, which is September 8th. And Holly, if it comes from you, it'll be nice to invite George Ryan to set up a date when we could tour with him leading, into start with one and then go to the other property on a different day. And then a little brainstorming once we complete it. It's not a big hike, but you know, visual and actually putting your feet on the ground would get people interested.
But even with something like that, I think that's a fabulous idea. I think that's a great idea. Even with something like that, is it something where we should consider also doing a little outreach to the senior center to maybe bring in a target demographic that is vulnerable or older, or, you know, meets that Action 9 criteria? You know, to see if any of them would like to join us on a hike. You know, it's not very far from the trailhead to the Barbizon Oak.
Right.
I think that's a great idea, and I think maybe it's worth perhaps having a little working session outside of this meeting where we sketch out all of the things we should do to make sure we're on the right track with equity. And I think, you know, things like that, like who are we going to reach out to for this orientation hike by George Ryan? You know, how can we reach the public with that, and how can we collect their ideas, and maybe just outlining, like, let's make sure we do these steps, or reach out to these people. Tink, you were trying to say something?
Is there an ADA? I got the sense from that question that the ADA is kind of a big issue. Is there an ADA group in town that's on top of that?
I think there is.
And I did send them an email when we were doing the walk audits. They did not get back to me, but I think that they've been so swamped with COVID situations, and I'm going to persist if we go with this walk, or get other people to persist.
That's a good idea.
Well, and not only that, but Stephanie from the Senior Center, I'm sure, can put her hands on that information, and that would be a way to bring her in and say that we'd like to recruit the seniors through her.
Yes.
So,
yes.
You know, remember, she's got volunteers. They might have another suggestion for a trail, but, you know, we'll use our contacts that we've already plugged into the application and expand what they, you know, let them do what they're good at doing.
Exactly.
Let them do what they're. So let's try to go that way. And they'll attend, I'm sure. Different ones will attend different locations and have different ideas. Just like we were able to select the segments of the application that were important to us, we'll lay it out there. And
yeah.
I think it's a great idea because it involves a lot of sustainability. It's not just a hike. could be
Yeah.
educational. There could be signage up there. For example, the DEP location has beautiful signage, and we don't even know if that's ADA rated, but it could be.
Yeah, and I think
That's
any
terrible.
outreach, yeah, and I think any outreach we can do, I think Cheryl's idea of let's have a separate group that's focusing on getting this next round of walk audits is a great idea. And I think outreach to the senior center and to Jennifer Datum, it would be a great way to get started, as well as the conservation group.
So,
And they,
Holly, why don't you bring it up to the conservation at the meeting?
yes,
And we want George Ryan and
Gary
Gary.
Gregory, yeah.
Involved,
Okay.
because that's where it came from, and they seem to have a vested interest in that, and give them free rein to get started.
Yeah, and we'll
they're
just,
not going to be considered the sustainable dames, but we could allow them in.
we can allow them in. Sustainable jet,
Token men.
Different working groups,
yeah.
like this ADA focused one. And just a side point, Stephanie is a member of that ADA committee.
Oh, great.
Right.
One other little thing, Tink, the Florence Griswold Museum's Artist Trail is ADA approved or something. So it would be nice to have Matt Green give us all a tour of what makes that trail ADA compatible.
Oh.
So we can maybe set that up as
That'd
well.
be great.
It's
And
kind
That
of
would be really
Get that
interesting.
How about more than us?
Get us out in the fall weather hiking.
yeah.
Yes, but let's
Yes.
do that.
What's
Great
that?
idea.
Oh, in the meantime,
They-
Shank and I get back to the two churches.
Well, yes, I'm moving on to the next issue, which is our other outreach. And Tink and Patsy, if you two want to reach out to the churches, that would be terrific. And I'm hoping that we can make sure that we're covering all the faith-based groups. I believe that there is a synagogue in Old Lyme, and there is that church on 156, and there's also the Catholic Church. So we'll figure out how to hopefully do outreach to all the faith-based groups. We've done so much.
On that one, do we have something to have them put up right away, or certainly as soon as we're approved, something to give to the churches that, well done, even though they didn't necessarily do all that much, bring them in as if everybody did?
That's a great idea. And I think what we should do is maybe just let them know that we have submitted our application, and, maybe create that little bit of drama about let's see what happens. Does that sound like a good idea? Are we relatively confident? We could let, the social media and town hall know as well. We've submitted and we're just waiting. And then when the suspense is killing them, we'll get the results in 6 weeks or so.
Katie, do you know when we hear?
I'm positive when you guys hear back, I can reach back out to you. I know it's a really time-intensive process, so I'm gonna guess it's at least a month or two.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at the reviewer notes from the last round, I think you submitted the end of April, and a lot of reviewer notes were May 27th. So it's at least a month to get the comments, and then who knows how long after that to see.
I think it was June. I think it was early June when we found out.
Okay.
I can look at my emails, but I am okay with I think we're going to pass. If we did not, I would not, feel so ashamed that I'd have to leave town. So I'd be happy to sort of let everybody know, thank you so much, and we have submitted this for review. But is this good with everyone else?
Yeah.
So you better come
Katie,
up
do you
with
think,
something.
is there any reason why we shouldn't announce it now?
I agree. I also think you guys were in really good shape. Even before we started doing all the additional actions, you had 175 points approved from the last round. So it seemed like it would be easy. I agree. I also think you guys are going to get approved. I would be surprised if you aren't. I would say the only thing is if there's the tiny, tiny, tiny chance that is the case, if walking back on that wouldn't be something you guys want to do, that is one reason to do it. I'd say maybe if you're gonna like really publicize it, like put it in the town newspaper or whatever on websites, it might be best to wait until you hear back. But like talking about it, I think is something that's okay. But I think really pushing it, you should wait until you hear back.
I think so too. It'll give us a bigger bang when we can announce we were approved or whatever.
Okay. So we'll communicate in person and by email to individuals who've helped us, but we're not going to run out to like the press and stuff like that yet. Okay.
Well,
Can I just
So-
bring back to
we do a note. We
what
do
were
a
you-
notice that's called a preliminary notice that we are in the process. We've submitted. We don't know for sure, but we expect, and those sorts of phrasings. And senior center, whatever, the churches, they've all, and even the town has outreach that we could use as preliminary. You know, we could even write it as if they wrote it. Thanks to blah, blah, blah. Old Lyme sustainable. I don't know. I would do some kind of a, even if it's not public, at least give it to our partners and nip the knotweed. Suzanne Thompson, she's been a valuable partner too. She's got a website. You might want to suggest that it gets a preliminary, a heads up to members. And then, watch this space for the results.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous. I mean, you all are more confident than I am, and I know we're in a good place, but I would be nervous if for some reason nip the knot, we promoted it, and then for some reason, we didn't cross the T or something and it wasn't promoted. I do agree we should send out a letter to anyone who helped us in any way saying the application is now submitted. We can't wait to update you. Thank you for your help. I need to bring some flowers to Michelle Noren.
Oh.
But
No. Fucking chocolate.
I know.
Chocolate. So,
And then once, what I'm hoping to do as well with the Economic Development Commission is once it's approved, for them to have the ability to announce our program was part of sustainable, Old Lyme became a sustainable municipality. So I think they'd have a bigger bang if they did it once it was definite that they played a part in it.
mm-hmm.
Well, another thing too that we need to write up, not right now, but this plan of conservation and development from Old Lyme is due within the fall. I mean, December is the ultimate date, but we could write this up that Old Lyme is now considered a sustainable blah, 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 and, write it up so that it makes a statement over the next 10 years. And that's what I plan to do for conservation, is say that conservation is basing its choice, its priorities, its goals based on sustainability, CT. So we could write that ourselves.
And then just wait.
And I had told you, Maureen, I would take a stab at some words for you. So I'm happy to still do that. Sorry, I forgot to do it earlier. For planning, you know what you're doing for conservation already.
All right, and we can add that. Make that statement, I think, is going to be a big step for us to have, to be noticed and to be accepted in the town. We'll just assume that we're going ahead with this, and little by little, it's drawing in wonderful connections to other parts of the town. And if we give planning, if we give economic development a pat on the back too, well, that shows that it's coming together, that we're knitting. We won't use the language of dames, but we're knitting together these various entities that we never even knew existed before.
Yeah, and I think that it's, I think we can actually stay quite busy thanking individuals and writing our press releases without releasing them, and just wait for 6 weeks until we find out what actually happened. I feel like with Cheryl and Katie both voting to not actually say we've done the submission, I think that we probably should hold off on giving announcements to the paper, but we can thank a lot of people and write a lot of press releases.
And
So-
I think, you know, when it is approved, it would be great to come from the selectman's office. Like they can do a press release at that level.
So that's a great idea.
But let's give them the words. Let's do a
Yeah.
draft and then give it to Michelle, and she will get it approved and fattened up through Tim. So let's give her the words, because most people won't know, and they certainly won't know the application and the way that it benefits the town. We don't want to look like just a bunch of okay, we don't want to look like a bunch of do-gooders, which we are, but we want to put significance.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So I think those
the
are
words.
okay. So for the
Go ahead. Sorry.
So you'll be writing press releases.
Well, we have a bunch of people we want to thank. So I'll put the list into the minutes, and that includes the senior center, the town, Michelle at the town, anybody else that we can think of,
Can you hear me?
including our two. So we've got a long list of people to thank for helping us to do this and contributing, and like Suzanne, and then one by one we'll send out we've submitted the application and thanks for getting us this far.
Yes. Yeah.
That's great.
Rating. I mean, I'm stunned that we've gotten this far. Stunned.
Yeah, 340 points, and they're submitted.
We've
You know.
We could almost end up with twice that. So that's quite wonderful, I think. And
So
the
we're all
energy
going
that's on.
I was going to say, we're all going to send the name, like we can take care of our own thank yous, but we're going to send to Maureen names for a master list of people who contributed and are being thanked and, should be acknowledged in our minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's
I'm
good.
busy typing.
Yeah, so Maureen, we're still going to be relying on you as the secretary, keeping track of who's been thanked, who needs to be thanked, and who's part of our outreach. So I think those are all great ideas.
So send me, email me anybody you think of, or as you're reviewing and reading through all of the application, somebody will pop up. So I've got the nip the knotweed, I've got Michelle, we've got the senior center, conservation, economic development, and anybody else you want to add to that, let me know either now or.
Yep, Board of Education. Go ahead, Tink.
Okay.
Seeing as the language to the churches is a little bit different, Patsy,
Board of Selectmen.
would it be Patsy's job to come up with that language?
Well, I think so, because they haven't really contributed, but they've been interested.
Yeah. So how about that?
Yeah.
So I think
that would be separate.
we should all plan our own letters because we each know what particular groups or individuals did or didn't do. So, but we should have one master list of, like Patsy's reached out to this person and Cheryl reached out to that person, and just so that we have a master list of contributors.
Maureen, you'll be Central Intelligence.
Maureen, Central
And
Intelligence.
Cheryl, if you want, why don't you draft a suggested letter, leave some blank spaces so that I want to include messages that this, what the impact is. This carries forward, and it's not just a one-time thing. This is how we're going to do this. This is going forward. So I think we need to tell people that, because they won't know. There's no other way for them to know. So Cheryl, if you want to stab that, why don't you just do a suggested letter, put some language in there, and we'll each fill in the blanks. I'll do Suzanne about the knotweed, and thank you, Suzanne, for all you contributed to our application, yada, yada, yada. Nip the knotweed was an important part. And then, you know, we'll have some similarity to it, but I like having the language, right? I like being able to tell people what they need to know.
That's a great idea.
Just do a draft of a thank you. Doesn't have to be
Okay.
lengthy, but.
And then Patsy and Tink can, you know, adjust that for what makes sense for the church people.
The faith community.
Each we'll do that.
Yeah. I need to get back to the walking audit business.
Uh-huh.
Because we do have to provide final results and reporting and recommendations to the Board of Selectmen.
Ah, okay.
So, I mean, we could probably spend a half hour talking about that right now, but let's not, and maybe just have an email conversation about how to proceed with that, because we do have a suggested standing walking committee in there. And I think, again, that these people who said they were interested in participating more, maybe it can link into this ADA trail idea that conservation has. So we do need to make sure we follow up with the Board of Selectmen.
That's a good point.
Yeah, good.
And hopefully it'll be a letter that doesn't propose spending vast amounts of money, but just get the board, you know, started on the idea of, you know, doing a little bit to make the town more walkable.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like
We could have Mary Jo suggest that one of us come to the next Board of Selectmen meeting and update them, because I've already stood in front of them and gave them the yada, yada, yada part. All that has to be done is, you know, some nice visuals like Holly and the results of the walkability. They like that. They like that. We're not just floating on a cloud out there. They like seeing me, and they liked having me sit in front of them and talk to them. And they were paying attention and nodding their heads, which is very nice feedback. But why don't we do the not flip chart size, but just copy paper size results? And I think they would appreciate that.
Okay,
So
then.
we
Yeah.
would like to go to
When is the next meeting?
I'd rather,
Monday.
yeah, we need
Oh,
a few
so it
weeks
was-
to pull this together. So let's get our information together and then ask to be put on the agenda.
Yeah, well, I think, if I'm correct, I think it's the first Monday, but that won't be until the 14th of September.
Okay, so we've got a while, so we can pull those results together and, you know, get them over to Mary Jo, and hopefully she'll get us onto the agenda, and then we can take it from there of who's actually going to present to them. And maybe Mary Jo wants to do it, because she has done such, you know, work for us, and, you know, I think she might enjoy saying this is what they've accomplished, you know. So if she wants to do it, I think that, you know, that's how.
I don't think she wants to do it. She liked to introduce, I mean, it seems like her role is to do the introduction and a little bit of background, and then I did not expect to be called up. So it seems to add to it to have other people, you know, residents participating and taking initiative and making somebody else's job easier. We're substituting what a paid staff member might do.
Okay.
If you look at the Groton sustainability, their paid staff did that.
Yeah.
You know, we're a bunch of dames
A bunch of
figuring it out on
volunteers.
our own.
Yeah.
Saving money.
Yeah. Well, I think that we can pick our presenter down the road, but I think that's a great idea that we just get a letter to present and figure out when we need to do it and get it over to Mary Jo. So that will be something where, you know, Cheryl, I can take the first stab if that's easier for you, the letter to the Board of Selectmen. And so I'll get that over to you.
Sure.
Let's keep in mind to keep it simple. You know, the visual, the charts that you had, Holly, the bar graph, that type of thing.
Yeah.
Also, who's involved? They appreciate knowing that. The list of this bunch of dames would be. I don't even think we need to make copies for them. I mean, that's a possibility, but just show it.
Yeah,
We could
yeah.
do sort of a three-ring circus. Each one of us hold a printout of it and show this is this one, and this is this one, and this is this. So topics, you know, and here's another one. What comes next? This whole ADA thing, I think, is going to get them excited too.
Yeah, and they're very
So,
supportive of that stuff. Yeah. So we'll figure out. I think a three-ring circus might be fun. Let's get something written first, and then see how we would present it. So, and have it not be too long.
That mean we should schedule another meeting?
I think we should.
Let's do working sessions or through email or something rather than a formal meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or at least
Yeah.
let's start with emails. Let's pass some papers back and forth. We probably can't have just working. We need to figure out the legalities of that.
But I think we could work off of email for the next couple of weeks,
Yeah.
and really the next couple of months, and then things will get more formal, let's say, in the late winter. I mean, I'm not going to forget. Cheryl never forgets. I hope I won't forget. I've written myself some major notes. And Maureen, you always keep these things on your radar, you know, and, you know, Patsy and Tink are here for us. And, you know, so I think we'll keep the momentum up with it.
Do you all want to hear?
Well, the way Mary Jo, let me finish. Mary Jo suggested the minutes should be brief and summarized, but to keep this to-do list as the email. So that's what I've been trying to do, is make two different documents. One is the to-do list, which would be the body of the email, and then the attachment would be the minutes of the meeting. So not all of this has to be public, is what she's saying. So
Yeah.
anyway, the list.
The other thing is,
That's
I'm not a fan of
Okay.
Google Docs, but I see the value in it that if I know, Holly, you have a new account for Sustainable Old Lyme.
Yeah.
Account. I mean, it might make sense to keep things in someone like a cloud or a folder in the cloud, you know, Google Docs or something where we can all access it, because I get I've sent everything out to you now and it's all on the application, but I showed my husband, if, you know, something happens to me, here's where to find all this stuff on my computer for these women who would have to pick up where I left off. So it'd be good for us for the long term to start thinking about like keeping things in the cloud, that, you know, these working documents that we can all access easily, and some other kind of sustainable practices for our work.
That's a good plan. Yeah, to update our own skills while we're doing this too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Can you submit sustainable, that to sustainable?
And
Sustainable policy thing.
create your own action.
Yeah, sustainable records. So,
And that way we don't have to write this into our wills.
yeah.
Exactly. There were a couple of other ideas if you all want to hear them. I know we're at 10
Yeah.
and 12. We try to keep this to an hour.
I just want to have 5 minutes to read out the names for outreach.
I
But-
have an idea too at the very end, so.
Okay.
Okay. So a few things. One, at the last Board of Selectmen's meeting, Mary Jo also, I heard her take note of this. There's some sort of save the sound cleanup.
Oh,
I need to find out more from Mary Jo about that.
okay.
The other thing is, I saw somewhere that Suzanne Thompson is hoping to work on a heritage corridor. I'm just going to read this. Towns in the lower Connecticut River region may be recognized as a heritage corridor. This would allow the opportunity to discuss tourism and possible federal funding. It's a multi-year process. This must have been Open Spaces, because I must have gotten this from minutes from Open Spaces. Greg Putoma mentioned there are currently 2 corridors, the Upper Housatonic River and Green Valley. Each site requires a federal statute. Blah, blah, blah. So Suzanne would like to continue working with Open Space and discussing the heritage corridor opportunity. So that is something to explore. See if we can loop that into some sustainable thinking. And then the other thing is, just for all of us, and I want to hear Tink's idea too, but what are pet projects we're interested in? And there is an action about community composting, which I'm personally very interested in. So I want to kind of look into that for myself and see if I can go to the right commission or group and see what can happen about community composting.
Love it.
That's a great idea.
Huh.
So we'll keep all of those just on the radar for now. And if you want to email us out, if you find out any dates for Save the Sound cleanup or, work on the Heritage Corridor or something, I think that's the way to approach that.
And Tink, what was your idea?
Oh, this is a big one. How about Old Lyme working with Lyme to become sustainable? This is a question for Katie, really. Are any towns doing it together?
Towns can work on actions together and they can submit stuff together, but to be certified, Lyme would need its own committee. Like you'd need more people in Lyme to help you go through the process. But
There are interested people in Lyme, and what I had said earlier was that the select people were not interested. They just were not. Well, they weren't interested enough to do the work. But they have a lot of stuff. They have a lot of, I think that the point business, the stuff that they already have, on the documented, they're not interested. But if we did that.
If we did some outreach.
That's a big shot. That's a big idea. It doesn't have to be dealt with now, but it just seems such a missed opportunity for Lyme to not
Absolutely.
get in on this. And my problem is computer stuff, but I could find interested people and, know sort of the library and the land trust and all of that. So just an idea.
I think it's a great idea.
And the two towns are close and work together on other things like the senior
And we
center.
can say we work together. We had a little bit of a combination, and Old Lyme can have a little bit of combination in Lyme, and I think beginning, it's kind of easier than hadn't we kind of lost points because we began and didn't quite make it, and so beginning I think is easier than moving it along.
Yeah.
I can send you some information, Tink, about it. I'm pretty sure Lyme isn't even registered. So the way it works is your town council would have to pass a resolution to join the program. But I can send you some like promotional information, like different like data and stuff, just if you wanted to pass that along. Because if you got more people in your town interested as like a possible committee, that might be enough reason for your town to pass the resolution. You just have to convince them to do it.
Okay, so I could begin that any time but if we had some of our team or all of our team.
Yeah. And I know a really smart lady up in Lyme. Tink, I'll give you her name offline here.
Okay.
But who's been involved in the school system, and I think she wants to do more, and she's a Lyme resident.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And now, speaking of, I'm sorry.
Katie, I have a question. That application be a separate application, or would we be able to incorporate that into a community something or other? For example, they have the farmers market, and then the bike ride, the Tour de Lyme. So is that some way we could overlap, or does it have to be a separate application?
It has to be a separate application just because you're two different municipalities, but you can do actions together and you can put up like the same documents and get points for the same actions.
So you each get points. So like say our action 10, which is the combined school system, they could get the same number of points that we could get for that school system commitment.
Mm-hmm. You can do actions together and there's no limits on that, but you do need two different applications, and because it's two different towns, you probably need more people in Lyme helping you do the work.
And we would get that.
Okay.
One of the great things would come out of that if we did this, the whole sort of old Lyme competition is sometimes friendly, but it sometimes isn't. And I think doing this kind of thing together would really work maybe well to just be on the same team. I mean, they are on the same team in lots and lots of ways, but there's a sort of an undercurrent often of Lyme doesn't do its part, So maybe we could work on correcting that a bit.
Well, it's
Yeah.
less populated.
Another combination, a solid official relationship is Rogers Lake. Half that board is Lyme, and by decree, half the board is Lyme, half is Old Lyme. So
So
anything that happens to Rogers could be a joint project.
So it sounds like
Anyway.
Tink getting advice on how to get the Board of Selectmen to set a resolution to register for sustainable Lyme. And then we could do some joint actions together to help them get the ball rolling that they would get points for and we would also get points for.
Great. So
Yeah.
Katie, you're going to send me that, right? And I might send that to someone who's more smart than I am with computer stuff, but great. Terrific.
Uh,
Hey, Tink, you're on Zoom. You're better than most people.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
You're
going to learn.
funny.
I'm going to learn. Cheryl, you talked about learning. I am committed to learn. So that's new. That's good.
We're all learning computer skills like mad this summer. Between the sustainable CT and the coronavirus, we're going up the learning curve.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Learning from each other.
Yeah.
I need to not linger after noon today, but I want to bring up a couple of things before we leave this topic. One is we Old Lyme Conservation appealed to the town to get mulch at Haynes Park to develop that barrier garden, and the mulch has been delivered. What is missing are the volunteers to spread it. So we might be able to draw from our own group, and really conservation will take the lead on that. But in September, to spread the mulch and to help follow directions from Linda Clow on putting in, she's got some new plants for us. Also, FYI, conservation approved $150 for her to purchase what plants she needs, and also the little individual plant markers that have disappeared, mostly have disappeared. So we'll be able to share that, I think, and that sort of falls in with what you're talking about, Tink, with combined projects, because it's a Rogers Lake demonstration of how to do a barrier garden. So we need, think about that. Another thing for the fall is to spread mulch. Bring your mucklucks and a rake, but we'll let conservation take charge of that. And speaking of thanks, Katie, you there?
I think we just lost Katie. I'm not sure. I see her screen's gone blank, and also she's mute. And so if she comes back on, let's take a minute to thank her, because I think she may have to sign off after an hour, and it is noon. So I don't know if we'll see her again or not.
Can I just get one clarification, Maureen?
Wait a minute. Let me finish. I just wanted to comment.
There you are.
Here's Katie. I'm sorry to interrupt you again, Maureen, but Katie, are you going to be with us for another 5 minutes if we have to say goodbye to you?
Yeah, of course. I can stay for 5 minutes.
Okay. So we wanted
people before I have to sign off, which is going to be short, well, any minute now. And Katie, and to Erin also, I wanted to let you know, watch your mailbox.
Good.
Okay.
I'll let Erin know too.
So we've sent you a little thank you and a cover letter for all your good work, all your help, all your support. Put it on your resume if you want, but I just want to let you know that there's something coming to you. And with sincere thanks from all of us.
Yeah, a great job for a great cause, So.
Thank you all so much. It's been a pleasure to work with you.
Katie, is it you? Katie, is it you that has the post office box?
Yeah, I
Or is
do.
it Erin?
I have the post office.
Okay.
So does
That
that make
means,
more sense?
does that mean you're gonna be in school at Conn College?
Yeah, I will be living on campus this semester.
Okay.
Very
Good.
exciting.
Congratulations. Better check your mailbox and don't leave anything there. Are you gonna be checking your mailbox with like early next week?
Yeah, of course. I'll be checking it.
Okay. And the other thing I want to bring up before I leave, we were going to celebrate.
Well, we could all get together outside someplace, and we could just go to the chocolate shell, or we could, my backyard is a disaster, but it does lead to the trails if people want to come over here. Or any other ideas?
It talked about having champagne, and I can't think of anything better than champagne and chocolates. And I'm offering my back patio. If you want to do that, we could do a sort of a whatever time of day you want, happy hour, midweek. Doesn't have to be a weekend. But I think we need to get together and we can separate the chairs. There's no crowding. You don't have to crowd on my patio. So, pick a time. You want to meet next Friday in lieu of having our Zoom meeting? Maybe Friday afternoon?
Friday afternoon sounds good. Let me get my calendar. So that sounds good. Just a second now.
So that's the 28th?
Yay.
What's a good time for you, Maureen?
Well, if you want to do champagne, I don't know about you, but I typically do not drink it for breakfast. So if you want to do like 4, 3, 5 o'clock, whatever you want.
How about 5 o'clock?
5 o'clock.
Okay.
For every kind.
That part is not going to go in the minutes. That'll be
Well, it's
separate.
on the Zoom
So,
forever YouTube.
yeah. So I'll do a separate message. Katie, if you're at Conn College and you want to come over here, we're not that far away.
I'd have to see if Katie's old enough to legally drink first.
Thank you all. I actually am. I turned 21.
I do all that work. She can
Oh,
drink.
happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
We're supposed to stay on campus because they're worried about COVID cases.
Oh, the whole quarantine thing.
Katie, is it your birthday?
I just said it. I turned 21 in April.
Oh, in April. Oh, okay. All right. Because it is my birthday. But anyway, that's beside the point.
Oh, happy birthday.
I'll do the champagne. All right. And I'll provide the glasses and just show up. But somebody could
Wonderful.
go to buy some, or any place, buy some chocolate.
And with my thing about follow-up names, I think we should do that by email. That'll work. I think that'll work best. So,
I'd be happy to ourselves. We need to do that.
Okay.
So,
Can I make a motion to close the meeting?
second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, say nay. Anyone abstain, say abstain. Okay, then the ayes have it, and the meeting is adjourned. And thank you, everybody, Sustainable Dames. And Katie, good luck back at college. This is very exciting, and congratulations on your wonderful work this summer. So.
Thank you so much. It was
To
so
all of us.
well.
And stay in touch.
Bye.
Katie, please stay in touch.
Katie,
Yeah.
I have a big connection with Connecticut College. I'm a graduate, and my husband was a teacher for 40 years. So maybe we can connect. I mean, I've always been interested in what their conservation commission is doing, the kids. And
Yeah.
they have come to things.
Oh, does everybody know that? Hold on 1 second. 1 second. Don't go away
Katie,
yet.
can you turn off the video while we're still talking?
Yeah, we're not officially.